Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Welcome to another edition of the Bullhead or Pick and Dimes podcast. I'm yours per usual, Sean Tyson here with Zhu and Peebles. How you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. Had a good Christmas, man. Got one championship, lost potential for a third place, man. Just Drew Lock, where was this performance from this past week against the Atlanta Falcons, man? Because Jesus Christ, that Falcons defense was the most virtuoso performance I've ever seen by a defense in playoffs.
What was that, 24 points or something?
26, man.
26?
And then, of course, the guy's kicker, Brandon Aubrey, puts up a nice 21 piece on top of that. I just couldn't believe it.
Almost 50 from.
Unbelievable. And then I got my kicker this week, Kaimi Fairbairn. And the
Oh, you got a donut, right? Wait, you get a donut?
Donut. He didn't even have an attempt, man. He didn't even have one try. The Ravens manhandled the Texans and showed why C.J. Stroud is a beneficiary of his division right now. Who knows about the rest of his career, but right now he is a benefit of being in the AFC South right now.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, that was a good Christmas, good game. And I don't know about the Christmas game though. Those games were Netflix. They did a good job. I didn't really get any lag or anything, so everything looked pretty smooth and everything. But man, those games were kind of pitiful. Like pitiful blowouts. Like the Chiefs one was like the most obvious thing because if they won, they're gonna secure a bye week, pretty much 2 bye weeks. They don't have to play this week or the next week. So pretty much that was like barbecue chicken for them getting that win. So, but the Ravens game, I didn't expect that game to be that big. I thought it was gonna be actually a lot more competitive, but they blew them out too. So the MVP caliber guys are doing MVP things. So yeah. I don't know about you guys. I'm done with the regular season. I am focused. I am so focused on this playoffs right now because we know all the warlords, what I call the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, man. But I want to see these up and comer teams. See if the. I know you got your prediction about.
I'm so sick of the Chiefs.
They got one loss. Like I'm ready for them boys. They healthy, man. Get the boys nice, rested, fat and happy, man. Happy Christmas, happy New Year. And for a New Year, all I want for Christmas and the New Year is another championship, man. I need to get my money back. Lost a lot of money in fantasy football this year. I need the Chiefs to get it back. I need them. They're my only hope.
Yeah. Christmas games was listen. Super side note. I kind of. And with what LeBron said on Christmas Day, I just don't really care for the Christmas games of NFL-wise. I don't care how good the matchups are. I know there were name brands with the Chiefs and Steelers. I don't care for Christmas on football because I know like everybody likes to adjust with the times and NFL is king and everybody is there and there's this narrative which is true, but it's like you just can't get enough of football. But it's like, dude, like you could have played like a Saturday or like a just on a Sunday. You don't have to play on Christmas Day. I just don't think, even if the games would have been great, I like waking up, doing whatever I do in the morning for Christmas, and then watching NBA. Like, even though I'm not as locked in because it's still NFL, like, dude, there's a time and place. So I just think the NFL, I know I'm in the minority because a lot of people love the NFL. So I'm going to lose that battle, but I don't know. I just don't.
And the NBA games, they're actually good. Like I don't know if you guys watched that.
I did.
That's that Wemby against the Knicks game. That was
it started off.
That was an amazing game. Like I was watching this Chiefs game and this game sucks. Watch the Knicks and Wemby, and I was like, wow, this is some great basketball. So I got like the NBA is definitely picked up like at Christmas. I don't know. Like I see a lot more highlights. I see a lot more competitive games and like game winners. So there were like a couple game winners the last like week or so. So NBA definitely like.
Adam Silver talked to the ref, Zoo. Come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Because before that, it was really bad basketball. Like,
well, and of course, it takes the turn the week after the whole trending around the numbers, the viewership.
Oh, the viewership.
Now you're
you know what they say in the next Barg TV deal, man. You got lower numbers, lower money, man. That's how it works.
Exactly. And so now you're starting to see a little bit more competitively called games. Something like, come on, man. It's just too Too easy for the pick.
And two, it's like I do think it's a little unfair, even though I do agree the ratings, I guess, are down and the product has been whatever. But it's like, dude, it's every NBA season at the beginning of the year for their season, the ratings ain't high because NFL's on. Like nobody's caring to watch. Like you would have me more if like you're telling me in March and April when it's like right before the playoffs.
That would be a problem. They had bad ratings.
Yeah,
and if
there's nothing else on.
It might be a problem. It actually might be a problem this year. I just don't want to hear the reports until April when they start the playoffs. Yeah,
come February, you'll
All-Star break. Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
Post All-Star, post NFL.
But the NBA I think will be fine in future. Rating shows we can talk about that and things or whatever of that nature. But like Zhu said, man, I'm kind of done with the regular season. And like before the pod, I was saying, hey, give me some bets, whatever, for this week. But it's like a lot of these teams are going to be resting players, and a lot of your favorite guys who are some of the league's best are going to be sitting on the bench. So it kind of got me to thinking about playoff positioning and seeding and things of that nature. And there are teams that are currently right now in the playoffs, and there are some teams that are out. And I kind of wanted to get a feel of right now, if the playoffs were about to start, there are a few teams that are on the bubble, and there are a few teams that are submitted in the playoffs. If you could swap a team that is currently in the playoffs from a team that is currently on the bubble, not a team that's like 6-8 or 6-9, but a team that's on the bubble who could make the playoffs from the AFC and NFC. Starting with the AFC, P. Bush, who would you like to swap out and see make the playoffs?
This is an easy one, man. Give me Joey B. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
the clean sweep.
Look, a quick thing. Shout out Bo Nix, man. I mean, he has kept it up. I mean, he played a hell of a game this past week.
Hell of a throw, Dan.
Hell of a throw there, man. That Marvin Mims catch was just unbelievable. Honestly, they have a bright future. I think the Broncos do. And it's very possible because I'll say this right now. You think the Chiefs want to see Joey Burrow in those playoffs? Absolutely not. And they hold the destiny because they get to sit their starters against the Broncos, who the Bengals need to lose, man. So, it might be some little 4D chess going on here by Andy Reid.
It might be 4D chess, but for them, this is a checkers move. This is a diagonal, man. We got nothing to play for.
Well,
we got nothing to play for. Number one seed is locked up.
One guy's beat him, Zhu, and it's Joey B. And you're talking. I know they'd have to go up against the Bills in the first round, and I think we'd all love to watch that game. I think it'd be a great game. Difficult, and we know what Josh Allen would do to that porous defense in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that defense is Cincinnati.
And let's be honest, the other big thing that they're having issues with their offensive line. Once again, they can't seem to build an offensive line around Joe Burrow, who is injury prone when it comes to being hit low, especially. But that's besides the point. I think you got to get him in there. I'm not saying rig it or whatever, but I would love to see Joey Burrow. The Dolphins just aren't doing it for me this year. Tua's got the hip.
He got injured again.
Again. Yeah. Just not very exciting to watch. Even A-Chain, man. I mean, once Tua's out of that line.
Yeah, when Tua's out, like the entire
the whole offense. They still won the game, and I mean they played well.
Sorry, Cleveland Browns team.
Exactly. So
without Jameis.
AFC. DTR, man.
Yeah. That's just a full-on tankathon right there, man. That's
exactly. But yeah, I mean, you got to go with the Bengals on the AFC side. They just make it a lot more exciting. And I'll lead someone else in to do the NFC. But I think the thing that I love about the NFC is we're going to have some serious shootout games in the wild card. On the AFC side, I feel like the first wild card games are going to be kind of boring. You got a lot of like the Steelers are going to be involved. The Chargers, very run heavy now that they have Dobbins back. I just feel like the NFC matchups, how they're shaping up at this point, are going to be a lot more exciting than, especially if the Bengals do not make the playoffs. I think it's going to be more exciting on the NFC side. So we'd love to see Joey in there.
100% agree. That is a clean sweep for Joey B because that offense has been great all year. It's just the defense and what Joey B has done. Like if he wasn't 8-8, if he would have like 10, 11 wins, he would be in the MVP conversation seriously. Because he's probably
won one?
No. He has not won one, but this is probably his best season of his career. Based on strict passing yards, number of touchdowns, and number of interceptions. And even with that putrid start, because I still remember that disturbing Patriots game.
That's why they're out of the playoffs.
I'm still bamboozled by what happened because I had expectation of the Bengals being good this year, despite the injuries coming in. But yeah, that game might cost them. Which is crazy to say. Might cost them a playoff berth. So If it does, it's shame on you for losing to the Patriots because they have the number 1 pick right now. So you can't be losing to a team that's fighting for the number 1 pick right now. So shame on them for losing that game. But if we go into the NFC, we got some good options because Seattle's officially eliminated. Thank God, because I you know my thoughts.
It's a horrible way.
You know my thoughts about Geno Smith. Like I don't want to watch Geno right back. I don't care if you write me back. I ain't reading it, man. I don't want to watch you play football. But Tampa Bay, the Bake Show, and Mike Evans. I'm rooting for that brother to get his 1,000 yards, man.
Will.
I'm smashing the over. Wherever the over, I'm smashing it because you know the incentive to getting that boy 1,000 yards. He also has dollars incentives too. So the QB is going to play with a little extra for that playoff berth, along with getting Mike Evans his career 1,000-yard streak to keep that going. So the Bake Show's been awesome all year, but Michael Penix, kind of interesting.
I know.
That makes it because if it was Kirk Cousins, I don't want to watch torn Achilles Kirk Cousins with this offense because Michael Penix just brings a little juice. I'm like, for a quarterback, usually they kind of start out kind of like really, really bad, but he looks kind of good. He looks kind of good. Like he even let Kyle Pitts have a good game. So that's a miracle right there. Like he got him a touchdown. So Penix doing something special.
Brought him back to life.
Wait, Zhu, let me real quick. I saw a meme today. It was that meme where it's Lois from Family Guy staring at a medicine bottle kind of on the side. That Kyle Pitts touchdown. It's like me drafting him next year. Like seeing that.
I might do it, dude. I'm gonna see how he finishes. But I might do it, dude. I'm the biggest Kyle Pitts hater, but I might. Penix made him look really good.
Yeah,
this is the downfall conversation that next year we will be revisiting when we all have Kyle Pitts.
Analyzing tight end.
How you, man?
Kyle Pitts sleeper pick. Yeah, so Penix definitely makes it more interesting, but for me, it's the Bake Show time, man. He's gonna lead them back to the playoffs, and for me, Baker Mayfield is having a ridiculously good season. And the amount of adversity this guy's had on his roster, especially offensively with the injuries to Chris Godwin, who was on pace for a career season. Like, he was on pace for 1,500 receiving yards before he got injured, and he was like kind of like the number 1 target in that offense in the beginning of this year, and losing him and not really missing a beat and using those running backs as receiver like Bucky Irving, Rashad White, like
McMillan's been great.
McMillan coming in as a receiver coming in to replace Godwin. Like Baker Mayfield really turned around his entire career and deserves every bit of that $100 million contract that he got and deserved. And it's crazy. It's crazy to say because we saw those days where he was on the Panthers, he got on the Rams. Like the dude was bouncing around, but he's definitely found his home right now. And Baker Mayfield right now, I think this is his time. He ain't gonna do nothing. Like I say, he's a cute Cinderella story, man. But I don't know. He ain't making no. The Buccaneers.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Depending, they win the division. They're facing the top wild card seed, which the Lions. I mean, I'm interested to watch the Bucs and Lions have gone back and forth.
The Lions are the Buccaneers, man.
Those Bucs did play them tough last year. They did.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
They did. They were competitive last year.
And they would, and the Lions would not be playing at home.
That's true. That's true.
Thing. Well, either way, the Bucs would be having a home game. I think.
Yeah, they'll be having a home game. They're having a home game, but like Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans' connection on offense, and their offense this year has just been extremely effective. Like they're really good in the red zone this year, and they have a deep threat and in the running mix up. They're like on offense, they're not like one dimensional. They're not one dimensional, even with the injuries. So for me, it's their time now. Penix, man, we'll see how he does, how he ends his season, but I don't think he's going to make it in. But next year, I'm pretty excited to see his career develop because we're looking at this draft class right now with these rookie quarterbacks. This is looking like a elite class of QBs.
Is this an elite rookie year?
Yeah, we're talking about the wide receivers, which is going down as like a goated class right now with those LSU guys, Lad McConkey. And I haven't given up Marvin Harrison. He's had a relatively good year for a rookie receiver, not like his projections, but this is a elite rookie. But the QB class,
I know,
like Jaden Daniels, like this dude is ridiculous. Like my God, this guy's one of the clutchest guys I've ever seen in my entire life. So like you're talking about this class right now is just you got some really really special young players right there, and Penix is putting his hand in the ring too. Like I'm here too. So this rookie class right now is looking it lived up to the hype and more. And more. Because even Caleb Williams, I know he's not having the greatest rookie year, but if you look at his base numbers, has a solid year. He's going to get over 3,400
Exactly.
yards, like 19, 20 tutties, not that many interceptions. So, like, he's having a solid year. Obviously, not that Daniels, like, goated rookie season, but I think with next year, if they get an offensive coordinator in or a new head coach that could develop him and be more offensive minded, more creativity on the sidelines, that he could help progress his career. So I'm excited about this rookie class, but Penix, and take a seat. This is the Bake Show right now, man. It's Bake Show and Mike Evans. So I would want to see.
And they have McMillan, who's a really nice supplement for Chris Godwin. And he's not, I guess I would say the equivalent, but he's a nice supplement. He gets open, he runs great routes. And they have two really good backs with Rashad White and Bucky Irvin, which I think helps Bake, because I feel like Bake at his best, which you can say this about a lot of quarterbacks, but Bake at his best is when he's throwing the go ball to Mike Evans, he's hitting McMillan underneath, he's pitching out to Bucky Irvin. And two, the thing about Bake is he's, I know this is cliche, but he's a sneaky athlete. Like, he will run up in the middle of the field and get a first down. So, like, and he's a tough quarterback. Like, he can take a hit and get up and, go throw a go ball. So that's one thing about Bake that I think in the playoffs, depending on the matchup, they could win one playoff game, and that's mainly because if they win a division, they get that home playoff game. So I think they could sneak a upset on somebody. I actually, because of last night, I want to see Penix in that offense, because if you're telling me that Bijan is going to run the way he did against, I know the Washington defense is kind of so-so, but Bijan having that gear to run the ball, which, like I said, that's one of my, I guess you would say one of my 10 commandments when it comes to the playoffs. Got to have a solid running game. So to me, if I see that, I'm like, that's interesting. Then Drake London, we know how elite he is, just getting up whenever he wants to. Darnell Mooney has had explosive weeks.
Great season.
And, going back to Kyle Pitts, having him as a in the middle of the field, downfield option for Michael Penix, I would love to see, because I guess not Miami, but if Atlanta wins or somehow gets the playoffs, would it be because they won the division, or would it just be a wild card? It'd have to be division, right? I'm guessing.
Yes.
So that means they would get a home playoff game, and some would say it would maybe work to their disadvantage because nobody thinks of the Falcons as like a raucous home crowd. And two, you're playing on a fast track, so it's not like you would have elements. And I guess Tampa Bay to an extent because it's Florida, but it might be a disadvantage of them playing at home. But the thing about Penix that I loved is that with a lot of these guys who come into the league, I always talk about the athleticism of what they need to do to extend plays and just, while they're learning the game, their legs help them out. Penix doesn't need that. He can beat you from the pocket. He wasn't scrambling. Like, he maybe had one scramble, and that was just because he had to, because the pressure was all in his face. But he can beat you from the pocket. So that's telling me that he's processing fast. I think most people know he was in college for years. Like, he's 24, so it's not like he's a 21-year-old rookie.
Yeah, he's very.
But even still, same thing with Bo Nix. Correct. Like, it's not shocking that those two guys at least came out the gate being kind of good. Now, Jaden probably a little bit more of a shocker because of where he started in college and like where he is now. It's just the arrow's just been pointing up for a long time with him. But Penix, that impressed me the most. Like, just his movement in the pocket, and he stayed in the pocket to make downfield throws to London and all those other guys in Pitts. I would love to see that in the playoffs, because I think he could, like, he wouldn't be rattled. I don't think he would be rattled. Nothing about him seems like he's going to jitter in the moment. And going on the road, I know Washington's hot right now, and they haven't been good for years, but they're hot right now, and that's a team that's playing a little bit above their head, and him just going in there and, like, calmly, like, making that third or fourth down throw to London. I know it's a great route by London, but making that throw, I would love to see that, because I think he could – those type of guys, they normally end up panning out and playing well in the playoffs, especially with his demeanor, because that's the same thing with Jaden. Like, Jaden – one thing I like that's cool about Jaden too, when he's playing, like, he seems like he's always joking with the other team. So that means he just knows he's like it, like he knows what he's doing. Some guys, when they're out there running around, they're just kind of like ready for the next play. Bo does that a little bit, but he has Sean Payton as his head coach, so maybe he has more he has to probably be responsible for. But like, Jaden does that a lot. Like, he's just always very calm, and like Penix coming in there after, I mean, I know who's his warm-up game. The Giants, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, when they just
Giants. Yeah, they ran down their throat. But I don't know. He's very similar to what you would say Caleb is in terms of the weapons, even though Caleb didn't have the wins, and like Jalen Hurts. Like, same thing with Joe Burrow. They came in the league with massive weapons, massive weapons. like especially Joe. Like that doesn't get talked. Like I'm sorry, T. Higgins, he's gone next year, and he's gonna make some team very happy as a number one. Like he's gonna make a team
number one, Zoo.
He's gonna make it. Like, he's not Jamar. It's not fair to compare him to just Jamar. Like we said, Jamar might end up being a top 10 receiver of all time. Like it's a different tier. Like that's a Hall of Fame God tier. That's higher than like receiver one. Like he's past that. Like him and just they're past receiver one status. It's like okay, where are they slotting in the Hall of Fame ranks? Like that's what we're talking about with those guys. So. Like Penix I think he's got weapons, man. So that I would love to just see what he would do in the playoffs. Like, do I say they could get an upset? No, but I think they can make somebody nervous. Like Bake, I think could actually win because he's done it. But
that's the thing. At this point, we know what the matchup. There's only 4 options, right? It's Tampa Bay or Atlanta getting in there, and then it's just going to flip flop between either Detroit or Minnesota, unless the Lions lose tonight against the Niners.
I don't know what.
No, it doesn't matter.
Probably won't.
I think it does matter because
what would it be?
Right now the Vikings are up a half game, having won theirs, which means they'd have a full game lead, and I think the Vikings would own the tiebreakers, even if they were to lose against the Lions in week 18. I could be wrong there, but my point is that either way, there's only 2 spots that can flip, and that happens to be who the NFC South champion will play is either the Vikings or the Lions. That's a guarantee. So it's like. Who do you think would have a
pick your poison? Yeah. I really don't know.
I'm gonna go Baker. I'd rather see Baker. I shouldn't say that. I think seeing Penix would be really cool. Watching him play this coming week, the last week of the regular season, in a must-win game, but they can't even control their own destiny.
Yeah, they don't control their own destiny.
That's huge. I mean, you talk about if you have Younghoe Koo in that game, they win that game.
Yeah. They do.
Right? I mean, we're talking about joking about kickers early on for fantasy purposes. They are crucial when it comes to your team, right? Yeah. But I mean, you're talking about a 56-yard field goal is the differentiator in controlling your own destiny. Again, in a situation where both potential playoff teams from the NFC South have very favorable matchups against Carolina and the Saints, respectively. So, I mean, you're asking the Saints to go in and beat the Bucs with quite literally.
I don't know. It's a nasty rivalry, and I know that. If I had to pick of who could get upset,
Lattimore's not there anymore. Lattimore's not there to shut down Mike Evans.
Yeah, so and they just always fought, so it kind of was whatever.
But I'd rather.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
I think Baker would cause more problems for actual playoff teams, and I don't want the Lions or Vikings or Packers winning the Super Bowl. So gotta take them.
It's a good possibility.
Man, Packers ain't winning nothing. They can't be good teams, man. They can't be good teams.
They haven't been good teams.
Jordan Love looking a little regression, man. A little regressing.
Yeah. That game is it's a run.
I do think his head coach likes to run the ball a little bit more.
And Jacobs is really good.
He doesn't really.
Well, the Vikings are like
Jordan
the best rush defense too behind the Chiefs.
Well, speaking of the Vikings, assuming the Lions beat the 49ers, which I think they should. I don't know what the score is, but they basically have a battle for the number 1 seed, and I kind of got to thinking you're talking about Sam Darnold versus Jared Goff, 2 backs, receivers, all the weapons, whatever. Which team do you think needs home field advantage more, the Vikings or the Lions? And Zhu, I'm gonna let you tackle this.
Man, this is the Detroit Lions, man. This is the Detroit Lions. I'm telling you right now, as a quarterback in Jared Goff, he's the most location-dependent player ever. I need to be indoors. I need to be indoors for this dude. Like I need to control my own destiny, especially against these other teams right now. Like Jared Goff is in a situation where he needs everything ideal, from the temperature of the room to the dome to everybody being healthy right now. And obviously right now, this Detroit Lions team right now, they're battling so many injuries.
Mm-hmm.
They're battling so many injuries right now. So like right now, because right now the Vikings are 14-2 and Lions are 13-2. So pretty much right now, because even if they lose this game, they play the Vikings. If they beat them, they win the tiebreaker, and then pretty much it's a tiebreaker. So pretty much next week they are fighting for a playoff seed of 1 or 5, which is insane. Because your odds of advancing to the Super Bowl, that is probably be the only game I watch next week. That matchup between the Vikings and the Lions, because this is potentially a Super Bowl berth game. Because like that bye week is definitely huge, and especially for the Lions, because the number of injuries has racked up so much, and just giving her more times to heal. So that's why I'm kind of surprised they're playing like most of their guys right now against the line against the 49ers right now, because pretty much next week's the game that matters in controlling your football faith right now. So for me, like these Lions team, like the time is now for them to win. Like last year, they made a run. They looked really, really good, but we don't know. Like I'm telling you, Jared Goff is having a career year. I don't trust him, man. I still don't trust him.
Well,
I don't trust
him. Let me tell you this right now, Zoo. They're down 14-6 right now against the 49ers. Brock Purdy
oh my God. Here we go.
I agree, Zoo. It's all about Demont for me, right? They haven't officially,
because they say he can make it back in the playoffs.
He could make it back. So you got to give him as much time as possible.
Yeah,
and if
they need it.
They need it.
They need it.
Just to play devil's advocate, you're also talking about Sam Darnold playing his first playoff game.
No, he needs reps. Let's get the reps in, man. We got to see if we're going to pay this guy $40 to $50 million. I need to see some playoff games.
I agree. And let's be
that's
honest.
a big decision.
And let's be honest. You're right. But let's be honest, too. They do get the most favorable matchup, right? Whichever one of these teams, whoever gets the wild card, still gets to play the winner of the NFC South, right? So that's like not saying that the big show is a walk in the park. But I'd honestly probably rather play the Rams, if I'm being completely honest, than I would the Buccaneers, if that's who makes it. But the Vikings could use it. Aaron Jones is also banged up, something to consider for them. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if at this point in the season, coming off an ACL, Hawkinson could use a little bit of extra rest too. They need both of those guys truly healthy, because Addison and Justin Jefferson can only do so much for that team. And yes, it still equals a lot, but it's not going to be enough to win a playoff. Make a playoff run, I should say. So I will say the logical decision is for sure the Lions, because of literally just Demont and their secondary, right? Who's the guy who broke his jaw? I think he'll be back.
Not Brian Branch, just another guy.
Someone else in their secondary. But they just need as much time as possible. You got to just rest these guys. But the fact that they have to play their Week 18 game also just sucks for that same exact reason. Because knowing their luck, something else could happen.
Somebody else could get injured. Exactly. That's the scary part.
The Lions really shot themselves in the foot by not beating the Vikings earlier this year.
I will be honest. If Demont comes back, and this is no shade to a former Green Bay running back, but he'll probably end up being like an A.J. Dillon-ish type back. I don't think he'll be 100%. He'll be a big power back that's not going to be able to push the pile, and he won't be able to make explosive runs.
A.J. Dillon type back.
I'm trying to think of a power back in the NFC North, and I'm like, I don't want Demont back. I don't want Demont back if he's. I would rather save him if they can get to the Super Bowl, because I would rather have Demont at like 80% at a Super Bowl versus like 50% or 60% for a first round game. Like Jahmyr Gibbs has shown, because I had reservations at first, like, okay, is he going to be able to carry load? And he's been fine. So, now I know the playoffs are different. It's a little bit more physical, but I think he'll be fine. And if they can get him back, at least to 80, 85% for the Super Bowl, because how much, I think you get if you win the conference championship, you get 2 weeks to the Super Bowl or week and
there's the Pro Bowl in between.
Yeah, so you get a little bit more rest time there, so they could probably get him more efficiently if they can get him at the Super Bowl. But that is way down the road, because at this point, like you said, with the injuries with Detroit, it's tough envisioning them, because I think it's to your point, I think it's a real possibility if Detroit got the 2 seed and went to Tampa Bay, or not 2 seed, whatever seed, wild card, to go to Tampa Bay, they could lose that game.
Without Demont, for sure.
Yeah, they could definitely lose that game, because the one thing about that offense is super explosive, and it's still a Todd Bowles defense. So they're not completely incompetent on that side.
It's actually hard to run against them, and that's they need Gibbs.
So it could get tricky versus like Atlanta, where Atlanta's weird for me because they have all the components when you talk about what you want. Like they have the rush in and Judon, they have the lockdown corner Terrell, and they have the skill guys, and like Penix looks confident. So like they have like the main pieces. It's just like maybe the depth is not there. But I agree with you. Clean sweep again, you guys. The Vikings are so odd because it would be like Darnold's first start in the playoffs, but because their team is just deep, I have a little bit more trust. And McConnell's been kind of a savior for Darnold, but I don't think I'm just not as nervous about the Vikings if they have to go on the road and do stuff, because I just think they really haven't had any spots this season. And I know the playoffs are different, but this season where it's like, oh man, they laid a couple eggs this year. They haven't really done that.
Yeah,
so
really.
It's kind of like it feels like the team is, it's not feels. They definitely have rallied around Darnold, and their defense, has played like because I don't be honest, I don't know if I can name 2 or 3 stars on that defense, even like maybe 2. Like
Harrison Smith. That's it.
Harrison Smith, he's been there forever, but
exactly.
They don't have a lot of star guys, so it shows me like the coaching on that side of the ball is solid enough. So I think they're just a really good team, and it's just being fully transparent, it's just hard to grasp the idea that Sam Darnold can get to the Super Bowl. It just looks crazy, and it doesn't sound right. So it's like.
But neither Eli Manning, Joe Flacco.
That is true.
Eli Manning's a Manning.
Brock
Like
Purdy.
Manning, Brock Purdy. Yeah, I can't grasp that. Just it still looks crazy that he made
like Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. No, but he was a backup for sure.
He is special in the playoffs.
Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Or Eli? Oh.
Joe Flacco. Eli had moments, but Joe Flacco had some ridiculous runs. But Sam Darnold, what he's doing this year, 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 picks. He led this team to 14 wins. That is ridiculous. Just think about that. We thought about that in the beginning of the year. Sam Darnold comes in and leads this team to 14 wins, and he's a big component. It's not like he actually chucking the football.
Yeah, he's doing more than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, he's definitely more like in that offense where it's more of an
he sits in the pocket and throws starts.
And I love Aaron Jones, but he ain't no CMC. The rushing attack is definitely the second option. So it's really relying on Sam Darnold flinging it down the field to his weapons. And he's doing a phenomenal job.
Who do you think right now? Because I just thought of this on the spot because you were talking about like who would have thought before the season. Who should win comeback player of the year, him or Joe Burrow? I literally just thought of that.
I think you got to give Darnold. Especially because of
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, I get it. But this Sam Darnold literally.
I know if he don't make the playoffs,
top 3 pick to being benched by multiple teams to being a backup to now leading a team to potentially the top seed in the NFC. And
what this is like? This would be like if Mitchell Trubisky comes in with throws 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's pretty much what it is. Yes. That's like if Mitch went to the Niners. He's like, ooh, he looked good in that one backup role for that one game, and then boom, Vikings leads the team 14 wins.
Pretty much
ridiculous.
Yeah. You could also argue that Baker falls into that category as well.
Yeah, but he was really good last year.
No, I'm just saying like quarterbacks had that same
quarterback.
Same trend.
Yeah.
You got to give it to Joe, man, because his home was burglarized and he's an MVP. And he went 8.
Well, apparently Luke had his burglarized too, man.
Rob too.
Hey, how about you're not going to be home?
How about the FBI talking to NBA teams like, "Hey, we're warning the commissioner." Like, what are the commissioners going to do? Like, send a memo out to the league, like
anonymous schedules.
That's fucking weird. But yeah, Darnold to me, weirdly enough, and I've been not on that wave of him for a while. I was kind of resistant, but now that it's getting closer to playoffs and I've just seen him play like at a super high level the entire season, I oddly feel a little bit more confident because he's also a really good athlete. He can get out of trouble. Goff can't do that.
No.
And he sits in the pocket and makes throws. So like I said, it's his journey has been pretty insane, but it would not be shocked. I think Minnesota, you could, if like whoever gets in the playoffs, like say the current playoffs structure is what it is now, like they might be favored in every game. Maybe the Eagles. It's like
the Eagles.
Maybe not, but I don't know. They might be favored in every game.
The Eagles got to play the Packers though, so I don't know.
We got to say this about the Packers though. Like the Packers have played them tough, and if they play them again, I don't know if that would be the one where it's hard to beat a team 3 times. We always say that. I know it's a cliche, but the Packers haven't got blown off the field every time they play.
That's true. So. Like in all these divisional games, extremely competitive. They usually get down early, but then they come back and it's always competitive. Like that was a 2-point loss, and the other game against the Vikings was another 2-point loss. Mm-hmm. So like, all these games
Jair played. I don't think Jair played. Did he? I don't think Jair played.
No,
Here we go. I don't know. That's Jay Jetta's kryptonite.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's his face? Jair might be because I think it's a knee he's got going on. Like it might be a little tough for a comeback on that. But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, this last week of the NFL season, it's going to be a lot of guys that are replacement players and backups that's going to be running around the field making plays. So transitioning to our segment with betting.
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Peebush, what you got for us in terms of, I guess, your lineups and stuff like that?
Oh, man. It was a beautiful week. Payoffs, man. Malik Neighbors paired with Brian Thomas Jr. I paid up for all three wide receivers. I went with the cheap running backs with Amir Abdullah clutching it up at the cheapest startable running back this past week.
Really? Dang.
But it was a Baker and Mike Evans stack, man.
Yeah, dude, the bake show. You knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
You knew it was going to happen. So I was hitting all three of those. I hit the dud with Breece Hall, the guy that ended up taking it home.
Yeah.
I literally paid up at 5 positions. I paid for Baker, Bucky, and the 3 wideouts.
Oh, really?
Everything else was dirt cheap, with Tyler Conklin with the garbage time touchdown at the end of the game put me over the top, man. It was beautiful. He went from having 5 points. Oh, wait, might have lost you guys. 5 points to 21 points in the last 2 drives. Just absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, that game was pretty pitiful.
Pretty pitiful.
Breece Hall was your miss, right?
Breece Hall, if I would have made a change with
Not
Breece
gonna
Hall.
lie, I'm changing his nickname, man, from Breece the Beast to Breece the Least now, man. Like, he just didn't do much, man. He cost me a lot of teams.
You know what?
His
He's on a
production
trend right now, Zoo? A little Rashad White trend, man.
I'm not gonna compare him to Rashad White. Let's take it easy now. I'm not gonna compare him to Rashad White. He's a way better run than Rashad White.
Do you see Breece Hall being a workhorse back?
No.
And there you go, right there. That's the answer. That's Rashad White.
Oh, God, it hurts, man.
Yeah, took his
Watch
job.
him play on the Jets. I don't know if it's the Jets situation or he's just not the guy I thought he was.
Situation based. Aaron's toxic, and he brought his buddy. Now Garrett wants out, and Breece is probably going to want out too, which is unbelievable. They're in that spot this year.
Yep, unacceptable.
It's way too talented to be that bad.
Brutal.
Way too talented. God, Jets are not fun to watch, though.
That'll be a game that I will be avoiding at all costs, unless you want to throw a little Tyler Conklin in there, because you're gonna have a backup quarterback probably in there. They always love the tight end check downs with Tyrod. But yeah, I mean, look, Sean, you made a point earlier, man. This is the week of cautious betting, just because of it's really hard for us to even say anything at this point in the week on a Monday, preceding the following weekend, because once I think we see who's starting and who isn't, you'll be able to make some bets here and there and do some prop plays. But there are some games that are obviously crucial. We've already talked about 2 of them a bunch. The Atlanta game against Carolina, Tampa versus New Orleans. But also, I think you got to consider Denver versus Kansas City. I mean, if Kansas City is truly pulling all their starters and Broncos have to win that game, that's another one you could pull from. Now, granted, I always do these as a Sunday slate only. If you want to do the Saturday and Sunday big slate, I will be 100 million, 20% man starting a Joe Burrow stack. I just want to throw that out there. Don't think I'm neglecting him. But for this is only Sunday. So I'm going to ride with the Bake Show once again, man. Stacking him up with Mike Evans. Zhu, for your exact reason, he needs 85 yards or something like that?
Yeah, very doable.
That over 90 yards and everything you got on your 401k, man. You bet that 100%. I'm going to be all in on it on DFS this week.
I'm curious what the over-under is. They're going to set it at.
They'll probably put it right at 88 or something like that, But
I wonder what the over-under is. So
I'm curious because
very interesting.
He's the guy you got to play this week. I mean, you could talk about Brian Thomas Jr. against the Colts. That's kind of a game that they're just fighting for pride. And I feel like Mac Jones is still trying to.
Yeah, he's playing for his NFL career.
He's playing for his
NFL career.
Exactly. He's a free agent after this year. So I wouldn't mind throwing Brian Thomas if you want to fade Mike Evans, maybe play McMillan instead. That's fine, but I'm going to ride with Baker and Evans. I'm also going to play Drake London. I really liked how Penix, as you guys all were talking about, he looked great, and this is a must-win game for them. So I'm going to target the best players on the teams that have the best potential to make the playoffs. So Drake London stacking with Mike Evans. I'm actually going to bring it back with MVS.
MVS, wow.
MVS. They are so downtrodden at the wide receiver position. Spencer Rattler's actually shown some ability to throw a deep ball or at least take shots. But MVS, I think he needs one more touchdown to get $1 million incentive bonus with his short contract.
I'll say that again.
We didn't think he would be scoring all these touchdowns.
$1 million? Dang.
So he's got a big incentive coming his way. So, hey, man, you got to play upside with these guys when you're playing with the cheap. So I got those And I got to pay up for Bijan, and I'm going to ride with Amir Abdullah again, kind of a guy who's fighting for future contracts. Bijan, I think he speaks enough for himself against Carolina. Very favorable, the worst rush defense in the league, and they have to win the game. And then I got to bring it back, man. Zhu, here's a guy that almost screwed you multiple times throughout the season. If they're truly sitting all their starters, Noah Gray might be a great play at tight end, man, because he's
I'm like Travis Kelce all these games, man. I get them mixed up every time. They run like kind of similar routes too. I'm like, what the heck?
Do. And then you got Justin Watson in there who also looks the exact same.
I got that guy mixed up too. Every time.
So I mean, you got to find. I wouldn't mind Jawan Johnson too if you didn't play on BS and you want to play like Jalen Coker or something like that, who I think could have a decent game. There's a handful of guys. Then there's just a lot of like Saquon. He's the most expensive player, but no one's going to play him. So I mean, it's going to be tough.
One situation I'm really, really curious is: are they going to go for the record because they're playing for nothing?
They should.
You think they are going to go for the record?
For Saquon, yeah. Oh yeah. So, Saquon is humble enough. He's going to be like, nah.
I know Saquon's be like, whatever the coach wants. Like Nick Sirianni. Man, this guy, I don't know. This is the type of guy that would be like, screw it, let's go for it. Like, he's the looking at the. But if I'm a Philadelphia Eagle fan, do I want Saquon doing this?
If he gets treat it like a preseason game, Zhu. Yeah. Play him in the first half. He'll get 100 yards in the first half, man. All he needs is to break one. Big
like, he's getting up there with his number of carries this week or this year overall. That's accumulating. I know it's for the record and all, but there's gonna be an asterisk because it's an extra game. Dickerson obviously did one less game, so there's gonna be an asterisk there.
Around the same amount of carries though, if he does break.
Based on carries
behind.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you can make it based on carries and stuff. So I'm really, really curious because I see that spread -3 for Philly for a team that has zero incentive. So I don't know. But betting on the Giants, I'll never put money on the Giants. Like absolutely no money on the Giants for me personally. But for me, if I'm going with one game, I'm just going by playoff incentive, and that's the Bengals -1.5 against the Steelers. Even though it's on the road, they have everything to pay for, and I feel like the Steelers, especially for a team that they secured their spot in the playoffs, they know what they are going to be, and this Bengals offense, like we know 100% this team on offense is just kind of unstoppable right now. Like your boy T. Higgins, he's ending the season strong. Like if you have T. Higgins on your fantasy playoff team, I'm kind of shocked you made it. But if you made it with T. Higgins, holy cow, he is absolutely going off right now. So like that offense right now is absolutely cooking and playing for the playoff lives. Obviously, they need to win, and other things need to happen. But that's the thing; it's a Saturday game, right? So they're not going to know the results of that other game. So they're going to be playing all guns out, going for this goal.
Very true.
So like they're going to play with that mentality that we're going to win, and we'll see what happens with the other games. So for me, I don't even see 1.5. Man, they even get 2 points. Come on, going with Joey B.
Well, the money line at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So Joey B. That's my bet of the week. And I got to add in a little more. What do you got? Because right now, this is another bet. This is from the past, though. The MVP debate. Do you think that the guys? Okay, the question is, who do you think? Who do you think deserves it, and who do you think is gonna win it? Because those are two different.
Allen's gonna win it.
Here we go.
Allen's gonna win it.
It's literally the guy. There's one guy who had all the better numbers except for quarterback sneaks.
Yeah.
I think the guy that ran all the other numbers deserves it. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but they're gonna give it to Allen because.
But they're going to give it to Allen.
But it feels Jokic and Embiid. Like they want Allen to win it so bad.
When I hear that makes me a little annoyed because I kind of get it. But
no, that's certain talent. No, I don't get it confused.
I'm like, Josh Allen's a baller in the playoffs, and he kind of pisses and pants in the playoffs. So I don't want to get that confused.
That goes on like pregame.
But Zhu, this is a regular season award, man. This isn't about the playoffs.
That is true.
Yeah,
this is a regular season award. You're the man that always loves to quote that.
He loves to say that.
That is true. It is a regular season award.
Yes.
Lamar's numbers are actually ridiculous. Like they are actually ridiculous.
And you got to remember the Bills, who they've gotten to play for 6 games this year.
That's true. They've been beating on really, really bad teams.
Correct.
Really bad teams. but you got to look at the players around him, though. The players around him in offense is just not even close to the Ravens.
Same with Lamar. Who does Lamar have? A washed Mark Andrews and a 5'8" number one receiver? Like, I keep going back to Zay Flowers is 5'8", and he's just number one.
What's the hate on Zay Flowers, man? He's a really good player.
He was just thinking Derrick Henry. But he's
the King. Yeah. Obviously, skip the King, man. King Henry.
Yeah,
King Henry's
Cook. What? 15 touchdowns. James Cook.
Yeah.
15 touchdowns.
James Cook has been an RB1 this year.
Yes.
Fantasy wise, you could say that.
He is in the same tier as Derrick Henry with
let's take it easy.
Wait.
Now.
Oh, no, wait. What did people say?
Wait, let's take it easy now.
No.
What did he say?
Look at the numbers, Zhu. Besides this last week, Derrick Henry had some slow weeks on scoring fronts. James Cook and Derrick Henry are going to be drafted at the same level next year in fantasy football drafts.
Oh, stop
it. No, I agree with that. Like James Cook has way more value than I think Derrick Henry next year, especially as a catcher out the backfield.
Absolutely.
Way more value.
Justice Hill has come in and had some.
I don't know about this year, but
Ravens. James
Cook got 900 rushing yards.
Yeah. Look at his receiving. What is he at?
Man.
He's a way more complete back. Fantasy wise, come on, Zhu. You would rather have James Cook than
I'd take the King over him. King Henry.
Good luck. Good luck.
Because James Cook's repeating 15 rushing touchdowns. Good luck to that. Good luck to
James
that.
Carter does. Why can't James Cook do it?
No, stop it, man. Stop it, man.
James Cook do it. James Carter. Connor always figures out to get a bunch of touchdowns. So I don't know about this year, but like he always figures it out. I mean,
I'm
surprised you're saying that.
I'm talking about King Henry. King Henry.
No, King Henry has been an addition this year. No, for sure, but like
just an addition. He is opening the game a lot for Lamar.
He's got
1,700 rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns.
But this is the first year of that though. All these other guys, we were just talking about this a minute ago. Like, I'm really gonna love to see what Joe Burrow does without T. Higgins. I'm gonna love to see it because Joe Burrow has been that people, and I love Joe Burrow. He is a monster, and the one thing that makes him better than one of the traits I think he has that's better than Lamar and Josh is he will hang on to the ball until the last moment and get smacked and make a throw, which I love about him. But like Joe Burrow has been the beneficiary of a guy who's a number one, who's going to be a number one on another team, and a Hall of Fame receiver. Like we can't just say that just doesn't matter compared to like Josh this year. Like to your point, like he has no one at receiver.
Khalil Shakir is his number one option.
Yeah,
and Keon Coleman and. Now he does have Amari Cooper. Like, Amari Cooper is not washed.
He's barely.
And he could probably show, but like, I mean, he's kind of been a weird transition. I think he's been injured too.
I'm telling you, it's literally their team is the Chiefs. Like James Cook is their Pacheco, but not like.
I think I still rather have James
Rice
Cook
is
Pacheco,
upcoming, right? All that. The Bills' offense is very similar, but they just happen to have two RB1s.
Yeah, I think like
he's an RB1 this year. He's an RB1. Like he is not as much in the passing threat. I think we can all agree, and that has to do, with his weaponry. I agree, but
you got weapons.
The Ravens, I mean, it's Lamar Jackson, man. I mean,
it is Lamar. Like Henry this year, but it's
Lamar.
Lamar.
And he took it personally. He's thrown how many passing touchdowns does he have this year? 36,
39. He had 39. 39 passes.
39. Is that lead the league? No, it's Joe Burrow, right?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow.
If he made the playoffs, even.
So he's rivaling Joe Burrow in passing.
Yeah, not gonna lie.
With who?
Based on the numbers,
Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I keep telling people Lamar makes other players better. Like Isaiah Likely is not starting in this league if Lamar is not throwing him the ball. Like there's guys and Mark Andrews literally tore his knee up. He's not the same guy. And again, it matters that you're starting number one receiver that people keep saying they keep hyping up Zay Flowers. He's 5'9". He's a slot. He's not a number one guy. He's a number one because Lamar runs around in the backfield and gets him open. That's the thing I've always said about Lamar. And we forget, like, this is the first year Josh Allen is playing without guys. Josh Allen had a borderline Hall of Fame receiver for years during his development with Stephon. Lamar's never had that. Mm-hmm. That's what I always like. I say, like, it really is. It's not.
We're getting away from the question, though, Sean. The question wasn't who's better. It's just the MVP.
No, Lamar should win it, but Josh is going to win it because of the narrative.
Josh is going to win it. Josh will win.
Yeah,
Dude,
'cause
don't
they
worry.
want him to
Your
win.
bet is safe. Your bet is safe.
You're my boy. Narrative, baby. That's what I said at the beginning of the year. The narrative of losing digs,
Never was gonna
man.
get him there.
The narrative of losing digs.
That just went to Houston, and I mean, I know he got hurt, but it wasn't like he was Nico. It was his team.
He started. So. He was solid. Obviously, not
it's
number
Nico's
guy, but
team. That's another team that's kind of falling off the.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to do with them, but yeah, I think Josh is gonna win it. But it would have been interesting if Joe Burrow had like
more.
I think you said 10 wins.
Yeah,
I think he would have snuck it away from Josh because he is
awful.
And he does not have a line.
His weapons are way too good, though. That's
okay. Now here's the thing: does making the playoff, like let's say the Bengals make the playoffs, does that
throw
him into it at all?
Yeah, 9 wins.
Because literally, you remove Joe Burrow from that team, they are 2-15.
Yeah, probably.
Has there ever been a MVP that win 9 games? I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I'd have to look, but I don't think that's
9
ever
wins
happened.
is 1 game above 500. That's getting the borderline. Yeah.
He gets votes.
That just
doesn't.
He
gets votes if they make the playoffs.
No, he'll get votes. Like it ain't going to be I think Lamar maybe won a unanimous or got close to unanimous. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be a lot of splits because, like you said, Burrow and Jackson or Lamar had their fans, but like you said, now if Josh would have been weird last week and lost against the Jets, then it could have got maybe interesting.
But
like
unreal.
The fact that he dominated the Jets,
and his pass catchers dropped a bunch of passes in that game, like a bunch.
Keon did make a nasty.
A nasty grab. Yeah.
This is why I would love if one of those guys was in the NFC. I hate that they're all in the AFC because then we could maybe get a matchup in the Super Bowl. One or two of those guys. That would be awesome.
All the AFC quarterbacks are ridiculous.
All I'll say is I just want a Vikings Bucks so we can watch Sam Darnold battle it out with Baker Mayfield, and then the Panthers fans can watch.
You're gonna get Zhu. Not Zhu, but people. I hate to break. I think you're gonna get one of those NFC North teams in the Super Bowl. One of those teams are gonna make it.
If there's one, I prefer the Vikings. I'd love to see Sam Darnold with the story.
Yeah,
because it's the heartwarming. That is more of a Hallmark story. Yeah, I know this. It's just fucking. It's hard to even believe. Yeah, what is that? And you know what's gonna be crazy? If he does get to the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to pay him the max. You got to. You can't because the thing is, like, because somebody brought up something on the timeline. They were talking about him and Purdy, and I was like, and I kind of got their argument because you look at Purdy. He had Ayuk, he had Debo, he had Kittle, and he was just making all these plays and got his team to the Super Bowl with those weapons. Same could be said about Darnold with Hawkinson's kind of a shell because he's come back from ACL, but you got Addison and you got Jefferson. And even that third receiver, the Naylor, like he's kind of okay. Like he ain't no bum. Like he's good. So people were trying to compare that, but I was like, and they also brought up the point of Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan. So it's like they kept saying what everybody kept saying. Well, the only difference is because Sam Darnold's 6'5" and whatever. I'm like, well, maybe that is a reason. But
there's no way he threw 30.
He did. That was one of the points that came up. And two, I think people still forget not Brock, but Sam was a top 5 pick. Like. He has the tools. So, it feels like it's more repeatable. And if you get the right coaching, he's got it to keep doing it over. Purdy, and I take this is no shade, but Purdy literally feels like he just, got off the truck and was like, oh, I want to go to the 49ers practice, and I think I got a little bit of a strong arm. Let me play. And he just feels like he's maxing out his potential. Like, I don't feel like there's more growth. I actually kind of think if Sam were to get to the Super Bowl and they somehow play tough, this could be the beginning of him being like the Vikings quarterback for the future. I think that's a real possibility.
Let me tell you right now, Sean, Brock Purdy's got 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown against the best team in the league.
To a smaller scale in college, that when the 12-team playoff came about, people were talking about it's going to devalue the regular season, but what it actually did was a lot of those rivalry weekends and maybe the weekend before that were basically de facto playoff games because teams were still fighting to get that were at large bids, not the people who win conference championship you go in. But if you had an at large bid, playing those rivalry games and winning with style points was maybe a factor of you getting into the playoffs because you could impress the committee to get an at large bid. But we went long on the segment for bets. We kind of got off on a tangent. But I will say next week is going to be very interesting because the playoffs will be starting. And there will be a lot of narratives and a lot of storylines. And I cannot wait to talk about that. So make sure you guys are following Tyson Talks _ on Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you guys are following us on YouTube. Quantrell knows we're putting up content daily. And for me, take that back. Also, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you're listening to the podcast. You give us a 5-star review so it can get put into our algorithms for more people to listen to us. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.